Hi, I'm Ben Ferguson, and welcome to your AMAC Weekly News. First up, Prime Minister Trudeau in Canada shows the world what tyrants do, and other leaders are actually encouraging it. I'll have that in a moment. And the media stays silent in the face of one of the biggest stories this country has seen because it involves Hillary Clinton. And finally, AMAC Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, Kurt Meyer, is here with an update for AMAC members on some really cool new benefits. A quick reminder, though, if you haven't shared this video, help other people see it by hitting that share button. Your AMAC Weekly News starts right now. So Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is showing the world what it looks like to be a dictator and a tyrant in 2022. Trudeau decided to invoke the Emergencies Act for the first time in the history in Canada. Why? Because he wanted to squash the ongoing Freedom Convoy protests against coronavirus mandates and restrictions. Now, the act allows him to invoke various measures that could include banning people from gathering in certain areas, as well as restricting their travel across the country. This is all because truck drivers decide to stand up for their rights. Now, according to Trudeau, this is all part of his plan to defend the rights of Canadians.
We'll always defend the rights of Canadians to peaceful assembly and to freedom of expression. But these blockades are illegal. And if you're still participating, the time to go home is now. On a separate track from the Emergencies Act, I want to reassure people that the Canadian Border Services Agency is already turning back non-Canadians trying to enter Canada to participate in blockades.
So let's just be clear about what a tyrant would do in this scenario. This guy who's in charge of Canada has the lowest approval rating of any prime minister in my lifetime, says that you've got the right to protest peacefully in Canada unless he disagrees with you and what you're protesting over. Now, this has gone further than just discouraging the truckers' protests against forced vaccinations. Trudeau has actually labeled all the truckers and anyone who helps them as terrorists. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. They updated their terrorism laws in Canada, and here is what the Canadian government is now saying about the people that support the truck drivers.
First, we are broadening the scope of Canada's anti-money laundering and terrorist financing rules so that they cover crowdfunding platforms and the payment service providers they use. These changes cover all forms of transactions, including digital assets, such as cryptocurrencies. The illegal blockades have highlighted the fact that crowdfunding platforms and some of the payment service providers they use are not fully captured under the Proceeds of Crime and Terrorist Financing Act. Our banks and financial institutions are already obligated to report to the Financial Transactions and Reports Analysis Centre of Canada, or FINTRAC. As of today, all crowdfunding platforms and the payment service providers they use must register with FINTRAC, and they must report large and suspicious transactions to FINTRAC.
Now, just to be clear, this new action is going to work this way. If you give money to support the truckers, you will be treated like you are giving money to ISIS or Al-Qaeda. They didn't even do this after 9/11. Now, Trudeau has gone full-blown dictator. They are actually going so far as to even shut down the bank accounts of those who give money to the truckers.
Financial institutions will be authorized or directed to render essential services to help address the situation, including by regulating and prohibiting the use of property to fund or support illegal blockades.
Now, Trudeau and the government are not just stopping there. They're now demanding that the drivers of tow truck services that have refused to remove the cars and the trucks blocking the roads are mandated to do so now, or they're even coming for you.
We cannot and will not allow illegal and dangerous activities to continue. The Emergencies Act will also allow the government to make sure essential services are rendered, for example, in order to tow vehicles blocking roads.
Now, thankfully, the tow truck drivers are just as united and infuriated about these dictator-like actions, and they are still refusing to tow the trucks. Now, Trudeau's decision to invoke the Emergencies Act happened just days after the Biden administration urged him to use, quote, federal powers. That's right, the Biden administration is behind this because they're terrified that this movement in Canada will go viral and Americans will join in this country. Now, these truckers are threats to dictators around the world, like Trudeau and Biden and leaders in New Zealand and even Australia. And these leaders are turning a blind eye to what Trudeau is doing in the hope that it won't come to their countries. We cannot allow for this to continue, and we must fight and support these truck drivers who are standing up for all of our freedoms all over the world. There is a story which I'm about to tell you about that when you look at it is clearly as big, if not bigger, than Watergate. And the media is nowhere to be seen. Why? Because it involves the corruption of Hillary Clinton, the DOJ, the FBI, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama. Now, before we get into how the media is handling this bombshell, let's look back at how the media treated the Russian collusion hoax back in 2016 and 2017 when they wanted to convince you that Donald Trump was the worst person in the world.
President is a Russian operative.
This cloud about collusion with Russia will hang over him no matter where he stands.
It does look like he's listening to Putin more than he is American intelligence.
We're about to find out if the new president of our country is going to do what Russia wants. The presidency is effectively a Russian op.
Now, if that's how the media acted when they actually knew that the story they were reporting on was a lie made up and fabricated by Hillary Clinton and her campaign, you got to think that when they have actual proof of actual collusion from the Clinton campaign, they would cover it the same way. So now, after almost an entire week has gone by since the release of special counsel John Durham's court filings alleging that Hillary Clinton's campaign associates spied on Donald Trump's campaign, as well as his presidency, we heard nothing from the media. Yes, crickets. The New York Times and the Washington Post did write something on the subject, but they only did it to cast doubt on the report's significance. Look at this headline from the New York Times. Quote, court filings started a furor in right-wing outlets, but their narrative is off track. In the article, the Times called the so-called narrative, quote, alarmist, and highlighted that, quote, the challenge for journalists is deciding what merits coverage. The Post, on the other hand, published its analysis under its fact-checker page. Look at this headline. Here's why Trump once again is claiming spying by Democrats. Now, in the article, the Post actually claims that there's no evidence of wiretapping and avoid making a clear connection between Hillary Clinton's campaign and her actual associates that allegedly spied on Donald Trump. Look, the mainstream media isn't only downplaying this report through print media, but they're also using words like gobbledygook on TV to describe this new bombshell report.
I spent yesterday reading through this stuff, reading through Durham's indictment seriously. I don't know
For hours.
who wrote that because it was gobbledygook. There weren't dates. You sit there going, wait a second, did this happen during the Clinton administration or during the Trump administration on the spying in the president's office? And then you have editorialists saying Hillary should be hung at high noon. They said, well, of course they didn't charge her with anything or suggest that she did anything wrong, or we don't really know when this happened. And you sit there going, wait a second, it really is the biggest cluster
Now
I've seen in a pleading, and it's going to be very interesting to see what Durham does next.
Now, the good news is the media isn't going to get to decide what actually happens. That would be John Durham and the special counsel's office, as well as those in front of the grand jury. Despite the determination by the mainstream media to ignore the actual legitimacy of this report, The revelations in Durham's filings are already being compared to Watergate, and they should be. Now, the major difference between this atrocity and Watergate is that the spying didn't stop at the end of the election, but continued on when Trump was actually the president. Just take a look at Representative Jim Jordan's reaction to the seriousness of this newly released report.
I think the other big takeaway is President Trump was right. Clear back in 2017, he said, they're spying on me. And all the Democrats and the mainstream press said, no, that's not happening. 2 years later, it was Attorney General Barr who said spying took place, and the media and the Democrats had the same reaction. Now we know for sure, in 2022, now we know for sure that they were in fact spying. And it was, as I said yesterday, worse than we thought.
Now, here's the other part of the story that should tell you just how serious all of this really is. Democrats are starting to say they believe that even Hillary Clinton went too far because they understand that if we allow this type of spying to happen in America, then everyone running for office is going to be paranoid, and that includes Democrats. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, former presidential candidate and Democratic congresswoman, actually believes that Hillary Clinton and all of those involved need to be held accountable.
Hillary Clinton and the power elite in this country manufactured this Russian collusion lie, actively undermining our democracy and stoking the fires, moving us into this new Cold War with Russia. The damage that they did to the American people, our democracy, and others around the world is immeasurable. It's impossible to measure, and it leads us to this point where we sit today, where we have people who were integral in making this happen, people like Jake Sullivan, now holding very influential positions of power in shaping our country's foreign policy. And what they're doing is telling the American people, they're telling us, saying, hey, you've got to be ready to go to war with Russia or other countries to, spread democracy, to protect democracy. And yet they're actively undermining our democracy here at home. This is their hypocrisy being exposed, and the American people deserve accountability. Hillary Clinton and her warmongers need to be held accountable.
Now, my final takeaway from this story is this. Whether the media likes it or not, apparently John Durham is just getting started. This is only the beginning. They can downplay it as much as they want to. They can try to undermine it as much as they want to. And they can act like this is a non-story. But this is going to be a major story, whether the media likes it or not. And the American people deserve to find out exactly what happened, what the truth is, no matter who it takes down. So it's always fun to talk about exciting new benefits for members with AMAC. And this week we have AMAC's Vice President of Strategic Partnerships with us, Kurt Meyer. Kurt, I appreciate you coming on because when I see you, I know there's going to be something new that I get to use as a member. And we just launched some new member benefits. And one of those things is called Mom's Meals. Now, this is actually pretty cool. I got to see this before the show today. These are incredible meals that are ready to eat, shipped to your door at a discount. So if you're one of those that likes really good food, but you want to have them in the, where you can just put it in quickly and be eating pretty quick, this is how you do it.
Thanks, Ben, and always a pleasure to see you. And as you know, we're always looking to add great new value-added member benefits to our member benefits platforms. So, like you mentioned, Mom's Meals, we were looking for something that had a good brand, solid name behind it. They're quality meals. They're discounted for the AMAC member. They're high-quality, refrigerated, ready-to-heat meals and right to your doorstep. So perfect for seniors and the members that are in our demographic.
You know, Kurt, we saw this industry really explode over the last 2 years with so many people saying, I don't want to be going to the grocery store every other day, but I want good quality meals. And look, people have gotten addicted to things coming to their doorstep. And that's the reason why I think so many members are going to love this benefit, because it's not just meal coming that's prepared and ready for you to eat to your door, but it's really high quality, which is why they call it Mom's Meals.
Yeah, the great thing about it is, it's a discounted price at $6.99 per meal. They also have gluten-free meals that are $7.99 per meal. Again, high quality, well known out there throughout the industry. So we're excited. We just launched it this month, and we're excited to really see it get some traction with the members.
Now, there's also something really cool that AMAC has never done before, and this is actually a board game. One that you're going to love if you like dealing with elections. It is the Election 2020 You Decide board game, and this is something that if you haven't gotten it, if you've never seen it, you want to use it and get it. It's a blast.
Thanks, Ben, and let me show you a quick snapshot of the game here. It's a lot of fun, very entertaining, I should say. The AMAC members could get it for $45.45, which is a discounted price. It's called The Game, and it's brought by Election Fund Network. And it's basically players move elephant and donkey game pieces in a mock road to 270 by drawing cards, answering questions, and accumulating enough electoral votes to advance inside the game. We just launched it last week. We're very excited. And again, we think the members are going to love it.
For people, if you want to know how to get these member benefits, you can go to the amac.us website, click on member benefits, and you can find everything there. We've got it up at the bottom of the screen as well so that you guys know. But again, take advantage of these special pricing. There's so many other things on the website as well. I tell people all the time, don't forget to check the website, Kurt, because you guys are every single week, every month, adding new member benefits, many that we never even get to talk about here on AMAC Weekly News.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, Ben, we're always looking for those benefits that we know our members will like. A lot of vetting goes into, picking the proper benefit for the membership. So just go to the amac.us website, like you mentioned, and click on the benefits tab, and you'll see our vast array of member benefits.
Kurt, I appreciate your time. I felt like I was almost interviewing Santa today with that new beard you got going on. I like it. I like it.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Kurt. That's it for this edition of your AMAC Weekly News. And a very quick reminder, if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, make sure you do it now. You get all these great benefits we just talked about, but you also get the AMAC magazine. And most importantly, you join more than 2 million other conservatives at the local, state, and national level as we fight back and to protect our First and our Second Amendment rights. Don't forget to renew your membership or join today. Make sure you share this broadcast as well on social media. I'm Ben Ferguson, and I'll see you back next week for our next episode.